I'm going to read, I think there's 6 or 7 poems, and a few of them are from the from this book, for instance, that some or many of you have, and it's available through Chax Press, new this April, and or last April. And it also had, and I'm going to show you a couple of images from that Wendy did, and one image that our dear friend Michael Moore did. I have 5 poems that are to Wendy's prints, and 5 poems that are to Michael's drawings. So I'll read a few things from this book. One poem from another book that's not yet accepted anywhere, and then I'll end with a couple of sections from 3 sections from a poem I'm working on right now, and I'll tell you more about that in a bit. And I just want to say before we go any further that I want to thank particularly Jenn Fishman from Marquette University and Jess Restaino from Montclair State, that they put me up to this, and so it's all their fault, and I'm very, very happy that they've arranged this, and very pleased to do this. And I think that you know, many of us have been watching the videos of people singing from their porches and their third floor windows, people sharing music online, the wonderful series of songs from, if you haven't seen it yet, called Playing for Change, is really quite incredible songs with people all over the world being part of it. So I feel like this is really a very important time. Well, Wendy asked a really crucial question this morning. She said, I think the most important question right now is what's an essential service? And I think right now the arts are serving an increasingly essential service in trying to remind us who we are and how we can try to make meaning in our lives. So that's the kind of the base of reading the poems today. So the first poem is called The Miner. Window blew open in the night, hallway and upper rooms lost heat. By afternoon, the blank filled up again. By afternoon, the blank filled up again. Roast chicken, radio, news, potato and carrot soup. Branch fell in the fog-still pond. Moon stabbed in a widowed sycamore. They suggest a melody we haven't heard, in a key we don't know, to a rhythm we can't mimic or evade. Every door wants nothing from you. Stairs resist your step. Dim bulbs light waxy walls. Paint attaches spindles to the rail. Lay your cheek against the mirror. A miner wouldn't enter such a shaft. This is the next 2 poems, and I wish I could read the whole of this, because it's wonderful to see these woodcuts. But this is a set of woodcuts that Wendy did in, we think, 2004, which was just around the time of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. And this is the first. It's a calendar. There were calendars so that every other month she did a woodcut. So this is January, and I'm going to read January, and then in a moment I'll read March. And these are large woodcuts, but the reproduction here is pretty good. The reason I mentioned the date is because you'll hear a little bit, and becomes more so in other parts of the poem, that I wove into it both what's happening in Wendy's garden at the time, January and March and so on, but also that sense of the military that runs through all our lives as U.S. citizens, and that I'm always really aware of because of my background growing up in the Army. So this is January. Those brow furrows, infant fingerprints in a catacomb mind, sticks and empty thistle barbed against an angry snow. Blessed curse to parallel cunning, winter seeks to obliterate hooked pods, the only verdure left over. This is March. And I'll mention it in the poem, but you'll maybe see the Gaudi head, the head that looks like one of Gaudi's heads in one of his buildings. I don't know that Wendy meant that, but that's what I saw. March. Bound in a tendril plain and gripped at every spade's edge, ground and sky can't shake loose one from another. Seeds break rock while Gaudi's guard head oversees art cast out of native dirt. Green troops float south against commander's first plan. The Turks wouldn't have us, but in this plot, stems lift ice and the buried burn upward. Now I'm going to switch gears quite a bit and read a poem called Susquehanna Avenue, North Philadelphia. And this is a response to this wonderful drawing that Michael Moore did. This is not as good a reproduction in the book because the drawings are much larger and the resolution just didn't quite work for particularly this drawing. But these are wonderful drawings, and you can look at them for an hour and you will never resolve any of the shapes into a recognizable image, and yet you always feel that the images are just there behind you, beyond your grasp, and that within the terrain of the drawing is a vast dimensionality and drama that you can feel but can't quite name. So the odd thing is, even though these are abstract drawings, and their drawings are done often with a burnt chopstick or a twig that he picks up in the woods and with ink on it. But the oddity is that these poems turned into fairly imagistic, recognizable images, and each in a different place. So this one takes place in Susquehanna Avenue, which is a street that comes down very near my office at Temple University back in the days when I was teaching at Temple. So Susquehanna Avenue. Home in this storm, this repose, 4 near teens fall out telling tales on their own, 3 p.m., soda and tasty cake corner. Uneven lungs draw air hard behind barred doors. Jag radio riff rides by on rims. The bike cop eyes for sin. Summer lights, a FIFA fashion and variety commodity cave. Baby carriages and two-wheel carts, fans, pots and grilled briquettes. Dawn's do shop, gazing across 15th at bent hoops, once Versailles royalty banging the backboards, kids still running up and away behind Duckery School, brick ship rising from hot pavement sea. Underneath sweet sun on red velvet hat, chainmail armor any body round here must don. Finance, ministries in the distance, stolen Sig Sauer tucked in waistband or police issued Glock, holstered or drawn. Hunting, what are we hunting down seeping capillary miles? And yonder on campus, they serve their coffee hot, sell tickets to the Fate Show, steel and plastic surgery for other people's children, to wade free into twilight hologram surf. Blown beige plastic Rite Aid bag, caught low in a branch of thornless honey locust, shading the sidewalk beside a 10-foot chain link fence. Okay, this is a poem that is in the next book called Journeyman's Song, which draws on poems written even as far back as 1978 or 79, and as recently as 6 months ago. So I just wanted to have one poem in here from that collection. And it's different than a lot of my other poetry in that it's much more storytelling and discursive, and it's focused on travel. So most of the poems take place in a place in various parts of the world or in dream world. So this is a poem called From Inishmore, which is an island near Galway in the Aran Islands, where John Synge traveled in the early part of the 20th century. And this is dedicated to my dear friend John Duffy, who teaches at Notre Dame. From Inishmore. John, I thought of you when I walked along miles of wall, piled in delicate tumult, gaps for wind so you can see cows and ocean through heavy lattice. One long rock scored like window frames shelved sideways in stone. I wonder if I drew them out, what pains in rock might reveal. I took photos, but couldn't get it right. My people left nowhere with nothing, not even a stone piled on stone. And then this is the last poem. I'm going to read 3 parts from a 9-part poem I've been working on for the last few weeks called Adesso. Adesso in Italian means now, and some of the poem is centered in Italy right now with what's happening in Italy these days. And the poem focuses on the pandemic, but it's also dedicated to a poet I've been reading a lot in the last 6 months, William Carlos Williams, who worked as a doctor through the epidemic of flu in 1918. So the 3 sections I'm going to read you, the first one is a love poem, which I think is appropriate for pandemics. The second is a small passage from Williams' autobiography talking about working through the epidemic. And then the third is something approaching a conclusion. Section 7. Dream curl starts, barely a wisp, wind over roiling water, wakes each to other's inner satin, tiny snowbells wet, last night's mist, knee, hip, buttocks, spine, reaching branches, shoulder blades, breasts, nipples, pebbles in the creek, step rocks, wrist roots splayed beyond firm hill soil, expostulating crags, blot sky till song, bird song, spring leaf song, spills over hair, eyes, pooling at shoulders, at bellies, eddying at thighs. We can't stir, smooth stone warming in cold sun. Section 8. Then the flu hit us. We doctors were making up to 60 calls a day. Several of us were knocked out. One of the younger of us died. Others caught the thing, and we hadn't a thing that was effective in checking that potent poison that was sweeping the world. I lost 2 young women in their early 20s, the finest physical specimens you could imagine. Those seemed to be hit hardest. They'd be sick one day and gone the next, just like that. Fill up and die. Section 9. All we have on this chill, cranky late March afternoon, forsythia, dulled by drizzle, dogwood, a good 2 weeks away, is magnolia, already white-pink around the corner from our house. And yet, what home do we have here, tilting now between bitter branches and flowering spring? No sure consolation as news pours in our unbelieving ears. Partisans snap one at another, can't listen to distress all around them for answers. Neither lever nor cudgel comes easily to hand. I think, doctor, you would simply wade into wards with your fierce stare and high laugh, neither hero nor priest, not looking down nor casting eyes skyward, willing to breathe damp air, touch fevered brows, sing green ivory Lenten rose hunkered in rain.